There was a suitcase under my bed, covered in dust and years. I hadn't touched it since I was young, when the future felt so near. There was a ticket from a city I never got to see, and an old pair of worn-out shoes that once belonged to me. I used to think I'd leave someday with nothing but a dream, but life came knocking at my door and changed what dreams could mean. There's a suitcase under my bed, full of roads I never took, a life I packed away so carefully and never had the heart to look. There's a suitcase under my bed with my younger self inside. He still believes the world is waiting somewhere on the other side. There was a photograph of an old station and a letter I never sent, $300 in an envelope from every dollar I could save. I remember telling my mother I'll be gone by springtime. She smiled and said, go chase your dreams, but I never found the time. The years became a mortgage, the bills became my chains. I told myself I wasn't giving up, I was just waiting for the right day. There's a suitcase under my bed, and every year it gathered dust. I kept saying maybe next summer, until summer stopped waiting for us. There's a suitcase under my bed and a road I still remember. Funny how a dream can disappear without ever saying goodbye. My hair turns silver slowly, my hands don't move as fast. The city I wanted to visit is probably nothing like the past. But when I opened that suitcase, something inside me came alive. Not regret, not sorrow, just the voice of a younger man who still wanted to try. You know what's strange about getting older? You don't always regret the things you did sometimes. You regret the things you kept telling yourself you'd do someday. I thought I was being responsible. I thought there would always be another spring, another year, another chance. But dreams don't always die loudly. Sometimes they just get packed into a suitcase and pushed underneath the bed, waiting, not for the past to return, but for you to finally remember who you were. So I took that suitcase outside and placed it by the door. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I'd waited long enough. I don't need to chase the old dream exactly the way Tomorrow I'll buy a ticket.
Maybe I'll go alone.
Maybe I'll find that old station.
Maybe I'll find that old station.
Maybe I'll never find the place. But tonight, the suitcase isn't under the bed anymore. And for the first time, neither am I. He knew every train by the sound it made before it ever came into the light. He knew the morning line to Memphis and the midnight train that ran all night. He could tell you every destination, every platform, every track. He watched 1,000 people leave that town, but he never looked back. He wore the same old station jacket for 37 years. He watched young lovers say goodbye and old men disappear. He was a man who knew every train, but never took one of his own. He could tell you where every road would lead, but never left his home. He was a man who knew every train. He knew every whistle in the night. He spent his life showing people the way while standing still beneath the lights. There was a woman who came every Friday with a suitcase and a little boy. She'd ask him which train went west, like she was chasing some kind of joy. There was an old man every Sunday who bought a ticket to the coast. He'd sit there waiting for departure, but never seemed to want to go. He was a man who knew every train and every story on the line. He knew who was leaving broken-hearted and who was leaving just in time. He was a man who knew every train, but his own ticket stayed at home. Maybe knowing every destination made it harder to choose his own. His father had worked that station. His grandfather had done the same. 3 generations watching trains and answering every name. He once dreamed of seeing Chicago, New Orleans, and San Francisco too. But every year he'd tell himself, maybe next year I'll finally go. Then one morning in December, he found an envelope in his drawer. Inside was an old train ticket he bought 30 years before. 37 years. That's how long I stood on that platform. I watched people leave for places I'd only seen on maps. I told them which train to take, which station to get off at, how far they'd have to walk. I knew every road, every direction, every destination, but I never asked myself, where do I want to go? Maybe that's the trouble with knowing the way for everybody else. You can become so good at guiding people that you forget you were supposed to have a journey too. The next morning he wore his old jacket, but there was something different in his eyes. He walked into the ticket office and asked for a ticket on the next train. The clerk looked up surprised. Where are you headed, sir? He smiled and said, anywhere. He was a man who knew every train, but now he finally chose his own. He left that station in the morning light and didn't know where he would go. He was a man who knew every train, and for once he didn't need to know. Sometimes the road is more important than the place you're trying to go. The station clock was ticking. The whistle sounded twice. He picked up his suitcase and stepped aboard. 37 years he had watched the world leave. That morning he finally left with it.
I bought that guitar when I was 20, with every dollar I could save. The wood was worn, the strings were rusty, but it sounded like the life I craved. I played it underneath the streetlights, played it in every smoky bar. I thought one day I'd make a living from those 6 strings and this old heart. Then life came knocking at my doorway with a bill I couldn't ignore. And dreams don't pay the rent, my friend, when somebody needs you more. The night I sold my old guitar, I felt like I was selling part of me. I put it in a stranger's hands and watched him walk away with my dreams. The night I sold my old guitar, I told myself it was just a thing. But when I heard that door close behind him, I couldn't hear myself sing. She was sick and we were struggling. The doctor needed money fast. I looked around that little apartment, had everything we'd built from scraps. That guitar was worth a month's wages, maybe a little more that day. I told her, don't you worry, baby, I know another way.
The night I sold my old guitar, she held my hand and closed her eyes. She said, "You didn't sell your dream, you just kept us both alive." Years went by and she got better. The bills were finally paid. I searched every music store in town for something that could sound the same. But you can't replace an old guitar that carried 20 years of pain. Every scratch had a story. Every broken string knew my name. People think you sell something because you don't need it anymore. That's not always true. Sometimes you sell the thing you love because you love somebody more. And nobody applauds you for it. There is no medal, no photograph, no one standing there saying you were brave. You just hand over the thing that meant the most to you and walk home, hoping the person you did it for will still be there tomorrow. Last year I saw that guitar hanging inside a little store. The same scratches were still there, though the wood had faded more. The young man behind the counter said, "It's been here for years." I held it like an old friend and smiled through the tears. That was the night I found my old guitar. After all those years apart, I didn't have to take it home to know it still belonged to my heart. That was the night I found my old guitar, and I finally understood. Some things leave your hands forever, but never leave you for good. I left that guitar inside the store and walked out into the night. I didn't need to buy my past back, I just needed to know it survived. She was waiting for me at home, older now, but still my love. I told her about the guitar. She smiled and kissed my hand. The night I sold my old guitar, I thought I'd lost the man I was. But I learned that dreams can change their shape without ever losing what they were. The night I sold my old guitar wasn't the end of my song. Sometimes you lay one dream down. She knew me when my pockets were empty, when my old shoes had holes in the sole, when I played guitar outside the corner bar, just trying to find my soul. She knew the sound of my old laughter before the world made me so tired, before I traded all my simple dreams for the things everybody admired. She never cared about the money, never asked what I could buy. She just wanted me beside her when the evening turned to night. She knew me before I became someone else, before I learned to hide behind my pride. She knew the boy beneath the man before I buried him inside. She knew me before I became someone else, before success changed the way I walked. She knew every dream I carried before I forgot how to talk. Years went by and I became a stranger, a better suit, a bigger name. I started measuring my life in numbers and calling ambition something more than fame. I bought the house I always wanted, put a new car in the drive, but somewhere between having everything, I forgot what made me feel alive. She knew me before I became someone else, before the money filled my hands. She knew the man who wanted little, just a guitar and a place to stand. She knew me before I became someone else, and maybe that's why she walked away. She didn't leave because she stopped loving me. She left because I wasn't the man she knew that day. I saw her years later at a diner. She was sitting by the window alone. Her hair had changed a little, but her eyes were still the same. She looked at me and smiled softly, asked me how I'd been. I told her I've been doing all right. She said, "You always say that when you're hurting." For a moment I was 20, with nothing left to prove, and I remembered every version of the man I used to be. She knew me before I became someone else, and she could still see through my disguise. One look across that little table and I couldn't hide behind my lies. She knew me before I became someone else, maybe better than I knew myself. She didn't ask me to come back, she just reminded me of someone I'd left. She didn't fall in love with the man I became. She fell in love with the man I was becoming. Before the money, before the pressure, before I started thinking that being successful meant never needing anybody. She knew me when I was still trying to figure myself out. Maybe that's what hurt the most, because when she looked at me that night, I realized she wasn't looking at a stranger. She was looking at the man I had abandoned somewhere along the way. She said, "Do you still play guitar?" I laughed and looked away. I told her not like I used to. She said, "That's what I thought you'd say." Then she stood and took a coat and wished me a good life. I watched her disappear through the doorway and felt something change inside. She knew me before I became someone else, before I traded dreams for things, before I forgot that being alive was more than what success could bring. She knew me before I became someone else, and now I finally understand. Sometimes losing someone you love is how you find yourself again. That night I went home, opened the old guitar case. The strings were rusty, but the guitar still sounded like me.
For the first time in years, I played until sunrise. Not for money, not for anyone, just for the man she once knew. She once knew. She once knew.
Every night around 9 o'clock, the porch light came alive at the little house beside the railroad, where an old woman lived alone. Neighbor said she was just forgetful. Sometimes she'd leave it burning till dawn, but nobody knew the reason she kept that little light on. There was an empty chair beside the window and a photograph against the wall. She never spoke about the man in it, but she never took the picture down. She left the porch light on every night, year after year, like somebody might come home if they could only see it from here. She left the porch light on through the winter, through the rain. Some promises don't disappear just because somebody doesn't come home again. He left one autumn morning with a suitcase and a borrowed car. He kissed her by the front doorway and said, "I'll never be gone long." He was headed west for work, said he'd be back before the snow. But winter came and winter left, and she never saw him anymore. She left the porch light on through 100 lonely nights. She said if he comes home someday, I want him to see the light. She left the porch light on even when the town moved on. People stopped asking questions, but that little light stayed strong. One summer I asked her about it. She smiled and poured me tea. I said, "Why do you keep that light burning?" She looked outside and said to me, "Because I promised him." Then she changed the subject, like she'd said nothing at all. But I saw her looking toward the road every time a car passed by. People think waiting is doing nothing. It's not. Waiting can take a lifetime. You wake up, you make coffee, you go to work, you come home, you sleep. And somewhere inside all those ordinary days, you keep a promise nobody else remembers. Maybe he was never coming back. Maybe she knew that. Maybe the light wasn't for him anymore. Maybe it was for the woman she had been, the
woman who still believed that some promises were worth keeping.
She passed away one October when the leaves were turning brown. The neighbors gathered quietly and carried her things out. They found the photograph beside her bed and an old key beneath the frame. On the back of the picture were 4 words: leave the light on. She left the porch light on, and now nobody knows why. Maybe love doesn't need an answer. Maybe it just refuses to die. She left the porch light on, and when they sold that little home, the new family changed the curtains, but they kept that light alone.
Years later, I drove past that house. The porch was still there. The window had changed. The people had changed. But that little light was glowing in the dark. And for just a moment, I wondered, maybe someone finally came home.
There was a suitcase under my bed, covered in dust and years. I hadn't touched it since I was young, when the future felt so near. There was a ticket from a city I never got to see, and an old pair of worn-out shoes that once belonged to me. I used to think I'd leave someday with nothing but a dream, but life came knocking at my door and changed what dreams could mean. There's a suitcase under my bed, full of roads I never took, a life I packed away so carefully and never had the heart to look. There's a suitcase under my bed with my younger self inside. He still believes the world is waiting somewhere on the other side. There was a photograph of an old station and a letter I never sent, $300 in an envelope from every dollar I could save. I remember telling my mother I'll be gone by springtime. She smiled and said, go chase your dreams, but I never found the time. The years became a mortgage, the bills became my chains. I told myself I wasn't giving up, I was just waiting for the right day. There's a suitcase under my bed, and every year it gathered dust. I kept saying maybe next summer, until summer stopped waiting for us. There's a suitcase under my bed and a road I still remember, disappear without ever saying goodbye. My hair turns silver slowly, my hands don't move as fast. The city I wanted to visit is probably nothing like the past. But when I opened that suitcase, something inside me came alive. Not regret, not sorrow, just the voice of a younger man who still wanted to try. You know what's strange about getting older? You don't always regret the things you did. Sometimes you regret the things you kept telling yourself you'd do someday. I thought I was being responsible. I thought there would always be another spring, another year, another chance. But dreams don't always die loudly. Sometimes they just get packed into a suitcase and pushed underneath the bed, waiting, not for the past to return, but for you to finally remember who you were. So I took that suitcase outside and placed it by the door. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I'd waited long enough. I don't need to chase the old dream exactly the way I planned. Maybe the journey isn't finished. Maybe I just need to begin. There's a suitcase by my doorway and a road beyond the rain. I don't know where that road will take me, but I'm not waiting here again. There's a suitcase by my doorway, and I'm finally letting go. Not of the life I've lived behind me, but of the fear that kept me home. Tomorrow I'll buy a ticket. Maybe I'll go alone. Maybe I'll find that old station. Maybe I'll never find the place. But tonight, the suitcase isn't under the bed anymore. And for the first time, neither am I. There was a suitcase under my bed.
He knew every train by the sound it made before it ever came into the light. He knew the morning line to Memphis and the midnight train that ran all night. He could tell you every destination, every platform, every track. He watched 1,000 people leave that town, but he never looked back. He wore the same old station jacket for 37 years. He watched young lovers say goodbye and old men disappear. He was
train, but never took one of his own. He could tell you where every road would lead, but never left his home. He was the man who knew every train. He knew every whistle in the night. He spent his life showing people the way, while standing still beneath the lights. There was a woman who came every Friday with a suitcase and a little boy. She'd ask him which train went west, like she was chasing some kind of joy. There was an old man every Sunday who bought a ticket to the coast. He'd sit there waiting for departure, but never seemed to want to go. He was the man who knew every train and every story on the line. He knew who was leaving broken-hearted and who was leaving just in time. He was the man who knew every train, but his own ticket stayed at home. Maybe knowing every destination made it harder to choose his own. His father had worked that station. His grandfather had done the same. 3 generations watching trains and answering every name. He once dreamed of seeing Chicago, New Orleans and San Francisco too. But every year he'd tell himself, maybe next year I'll finally go. Then one morning in December, he found an envelope in his drawer. Inside was an old train ticket he'd bought 30 years before. 37 years. That's how long I stood on that platform. I watched people leave for places I'd only seen on maps. I told them which train to take, which station to get off at, how far they'd have to walk. I knew every road, every direction, every destination, but I never asked myself, where do I want to go? Maybe that's the trouble with knowing the way for everybody else. You can become so good at guiding people that you forget you were supposed to have a journey too. The next morning he wore his old jacket, but there was something different in his eyes. He walked into the ticket office and asked for a ticket on the next train. The clerk looked up surprised. Where are you headed, sir? He smiled and said, anywhere. He was the man who knew every train, but now he finally chose his own. He left that station in the morning light and didn't know where he would go. He was the man who knew every train, and for once he didn't need to know. Sometimes the road is more important than the place you're trying to go. The station clock was ticking. The whistle sounded twice. He picked up his suitcase and stepped aboard. 37 years he had watched the world leave
that morning. He finally left with it. I bought that guitar when I was 20, with every dollar I could save. The wood was worn, the strings were rusty, but it sounded like the life I craved. I played it underneath the streetlights, played it in every smoky bar. I thought one day I'd make a living from those 6 strings and this old heart. Then life came knocking at my doorway with a bill I couldn't ignore. And dreams don't pay the rent, my friend, when somebody needs you more. The night I sold my old guitar, I felt like I was selling part of me. I put it in a stranger's hands and watched him walk away with my dreams. The night I sold my old guitar, I told myself it was just a thing. But when I heard that door close behind him, I couldn't hear myself sing. She was sick and we were struggling. The doctor needed money fast. I looked around that little apartment, at everything we'd built from scraps. That guitar was worth a month's wages, maybe a little more that day. I told her, don't you worry, baby, I know another way. The night I sold my old guitar, I didn't tell her how it hurt. I said it's only wood and metal, but those strings knew what they were worth. The night I sold my old guitar, she held my hand and closed her eyes. She said, you didn't sell your dream, you just kept us both alive. Years went by and she got better. The bills were finally paid. I searched every music store in town for something that could sound the same. But you can't replace an old guitar that carried 20 years of pain. Every scratch had a story, every broken string knew my name. People think you sell something because you don't need it anymore. That's not always true. Sometimes you sell the thing you love because you love somebody more. And nobody applauds you for it. There is no medal, no photograph, no one standing there saying you were brave. You just hand over the thing that meant the most to you and walk home, hoping the person you did it for will still be there tomorrow. Last year I saw that guitar hanging inside a little store. The same scratches were still there, though the wood had
faded more. The young man behind the counter said it's been here for years. I held it like an old friend and smiled through the tears. That was the night I found my old guitar. After all those years apart, I didn't have to take it home to know it still belonged to my heart. That was the night I found my old guitar, and I finally understood some things leave your hands forever, but never leave you for good. I left that guitar inside the store and walked out into the night. I didn't need to buy my past back, I just needed to know it survived. She was waiting for me at home, older now but still my love. I told her about the guitar, she smiled and kissed my hand. The night I sold my old guitar, I thought I lost the man I was, but I learned that dreams can change their shape without ever losing what they were. The night I sold my old guitar wasn't the end of my song. Sometimes you lay one dream down so another one can carry on. I still play sometimes, not that old guitar, but every time I touch those strings, I remember there was a night when I chose love over a dream, and I don't regret it. And I don't regret it.
She knew me when my pockets were empty, when my old shoes had holes in the sole, when I played guitar outside the corner bar, just trying to find my soul. She knew the sound of my old laughter before the world made me so tired, before I traded all my simple dreams for the things everybody admired. She never cared about the money, never asked what I could buy. She just wanted me beside her when the evening turned to night. She knew me before I became someone else. Before I learned to hide behind my pride. She knew the boy beneath the man before I buried him inside. She knew me before I became someone else, and now I finally understand Sometimes losing someone you love is how you find yourself again. Years went by and I became a stranger. A better suit, a bigger name. I started measuring my life in numbers and calling ambition something more than fame. I bought the house I always wanted, put a new car in the drive. But somewhere between having everything, I forgot what made me feel alive. She knew me before I became someone else, before the money filled my hands. She knew the man who wanted little, just a guitar and a place to stand. She knew me before I became someone else. And maybe that's why she walked away. She didn't leave because she stopped loving me. She left because I wasn't the man she knew that day. I saw her years later at a diner. She was sitting by the window alone. Her hair had changed a little, but her eyes were still the same. She looked at me and smiled softly, asked me how I'd been. I told her I've been doing all right. She said, you always say that when you're hurting. For a moment I was 20, with nothing left to prove. And I remembered every version of the man I used to be. She knew me before I became someone else, and she could still see through my disguise. One look across that little table, and I couldn't hide behind my lies. She knew me before I became someone else. Maybe better than I knew myself. She didn't ask me to come back. She just reminded me of someone I'd left. She didn't fall in love with the man I became. She fell in love with the man I was becoming. Before the money, before the pressure, before I started thinking that being successful meant never needing anybody. She knew me when I was still trying to figure myself out. Maybe that's what hurt the most. Because when she looked at me that night, I realized she wasn't looking at a stranger. She was looking at the man I had abandoned somewhere along the way. She said, do you still play guitar? I laughed and looked away. I told her, not like I used to. She said, that's what I thought you'd say. Then she stood and took her coat and wished me a good life. I watched her disappear through the doorway and felt something change inside. She knew me before I became someone else, before I traded dreams for things, before I forgot that being alive was more than what success could bring. She knew me before I became someone else, and now I finally understand. Sometimes losing someone
night I went home, opened the old guitar case. The strings were rusty, but the guitar still sounded like me. For the first time in years, I played until sunrise. Not for money, not for anyone, just for the man she once knew.